Even though I was born normal, at the age of 3 months, I was diagnosed with a polio, which actually completely changed my life. During summer holidays, when I was in 6th grade, I wanted to learn swimming. All my friends enrolled in a swim club. I approached the coach and asked if he could teach me to swim. He actually hesitated and made it very clear that I cannot swim as I couldn't walk. As I wasn't a normal and I would be a risk and a liability for him to even try. This was the first time in my life that I felt a rejection and regretted being different. I was furious and heartbroken, but I didn't have much options back then. Life moved on. 15 years from that day, I was watching 2012 Paralympic swimming highlights and saw a man with no hands win a gold. And saw a man with no hands win a gold in his category. I suddenly realized how some people back then suddenly defined my ability and made me question myself. I was determined to prove them wrong. I took up the challenge once again. I called a few coaches who had trained Paralympic swimmers, and they helped me find a coach who was actually near my location. I contacted that coach and explained him about my limitation and my willingness to learn swimming. He called me the next evening in the same exact swimming pool which actually rejected me 15 years back. Yes, there were challenges, difficulties, barriers, but that never stopped me. All I had to do was to reinvent things and never give up, because life goes on. Life doesn't care about your struggles, your shortcomings, or whether you are poor or rich. It only knows just one thing, that how much you have tried to succeed against all the odds in your life. The world is built on chances, the ones you take on yourself and the ones the people take on you. When you are a differently abled person, the society questions you about the incapacity of your limits. They try to drown you in the fear. I've always wanted to do everything, and my disability couldn't never dampen my spirit. After swimming for 2 years, I realized age factor was actually working against me, as I started sport at a very late stage, and I was not getting stronger. That left me with two options. I either had to give up my passion or choose another sport. For the next 6 years, my life revolved around clashing blades with skilled opponents, decked out in white gear and mask. Now, I am more than my wheelchair. I am a Paralympian. This sport is called fencing. Fencing, God opened so many doors I have actually never imagined. Fencing took me around the world: Hong Kong, Poland, Slovakia, Doha, London, Dubai, Hungary. Fencing literally became my visa to see the world. Fencing actually helped me reach a bigger platform that I've ever imagined. I was speaking at schools, colleges, and corporates, and reaching out to thousands of people, increasing awareness on equal opportunities. I knew I couldn't change the present, so I tried shaping the future. Sport is what enabled me to become the first Indian to be a part of a US exchange program on sports diplomacy. Now, I was making impact at a global level, helping underdeveloped nations in sports and using sports as a tool to drive change in policies, with the single biggest objective being accessibility. During the program, I actually realized the underlying issue was always the lack of funds across the globe. That if you want to change the world, you have to know how to pay for it. Great ideas or initiatives die because they don't have the funds to get off the ground or are unable to sustain. Sports actually gave me a new direction in life. It reflected the true me. A bigger purpose of my life was discovered. It became my moral compass. Throughout India, the lack of awareness and accessibility prevents thousands of people with disability, restricts them from accessing sports. I want to tell them that it's not impossible. Despite severe disparity and the available facilities, the Indian Paralympic team brings the same pride to the nation than what an Olympic player does. Greatest social movement in history were powered by an idea, and people's believe in that idea. Real change and impact require resources. I've been spending countless hours working over 13 years of my career in marketing, but we always want to work that adds value. I realized the thing that I'm really good at is generating revenue and profit for corporates, which I love, by the way. After numerous self-talk, I decided it's time for me to look at this, the social sector and how I can use my knowledge to help people who are spearheading social change in a more sustainable way. I'm currently working very closely as a marketing consultant with few of the international, national, and regional NGO to help them with fundraising, helping them get essential resources in the hands of people who are in the front line doing work that matters, ranging from child education to empowering a marginalized sector and various other social causes.
Growing up, we would talk about the American dream and work hard, study hard, and you could move forward. But if you had a disability, working hard and study hard didn't really mean you'd get anything.
I went and applied for a daycare job to be a teacher's assistant. The teachers liked me, and then they found out that I had been in special ed, and all of a sudden the job was no longer available.
My older brother became deaf at a young age. I think he was maybe 6 years old. His life was circumscribed by people saying, well, you're deaf, so you can't do this, you can't do that. They told him he could be one of three things. He could be a baker, a shoe cobbler, or a printer's assistant. He said, I don't want to be any of that. They said, okay, now you're a baker.
Ed just had a way of inspiring people to be what they needed to be. But he was a scared kid going off to college. It was just this terrifying idea, they're all going to look at me. And then he realized they could look at him and he could be a star. Of course, it opened the doors to people who had kids with disabilities.
I wanted to be a teacher. My written, oral, and medical exam all were given in inaccessible buildings, and my friends carried me up and down the steps. And then I was failed on my medical exam because I couldn't walk, and I really couldn't let it drop. Friends of mine and I decided that what we would do is we would set up this group.
I got a flyer in Braille, which I'd never received before. It said something like, fight for your civil rights.
That was really the beginning of advocacy.
I never knew that there was such thing as, being proud of being a disabled person.
It was everybody really beginning to demand respect and the right to be able to do with their life what other people do and don't have to think about.
This one person said to me one day, we got left out. I said, left out of what? He said, the Civil Rights Act. You can't discriminate against people of color or women or sex or national origin, but disability, perfectly legal. I became aware then of a movement to have a broad civil rights bill to cover all people with disabilities. We had this wonderful point in time when we had the President of the United States strongly in back of it.
We will not tolerate discrimination in America. I now lift my pen to sign this Americans with Disability Act and say, let the shameful wall of exclusion finally come tumbling down.
The biggest impact of ADA has been the change in the physical environment. Everything from curb cups to widened doors to seating in theaters.
Buses are accessible. It means that people can actually get to their job. There's consciousness around accessible restrooms and hotel room doors.
It has spawned a whole bunch of new technology.
Portable respirators came out, motorized wheelchairs came out.
Technology has transformed the lives of deaf individuals like myself.
For those with intellectual developmental disabilities, technology is what allows them to participate.
People with disabilities can work and can be a part of the community.
You're seeing people with physical disabilities actually coming out to play high school sports.
I gained a real understanding of the ADA and what it symbolized.
We have the right to do everything and anything that we want, and it's because of the ADA.
If my brother were alive today, I think now he would think that more people like him now have a better shake, more fair shake. Happy 25th years of ADA.
I truly hope after my speech today, you will make sure to request people around you to give or volunteer and help those who relentlessly are fighting for various missions. So people like me can play sports and access sporting areas, because a gold is a gold at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if it's won by an Olympian or a Paralympian. I would end my speech by quoting Denzel Washington. It's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. Thank you all.